And we can begin now by asking the simple questions of what is your name, who are you, and what are the art forms that you specialize in?
Um, I'm Beatrice Barkin. I love graphite, oil. Those are my specialties. And then I deviate with collages and watercolors and the style. The style is diverse. I guess that is my trademark. My style is completely multifaceted. But I let my intuition guide me. I feel I actually get a vision of what I want to create and what I want it to look like. And
What's that like? Could you describe that for me?
I get a vision and I want it to be like this, and I need to get it down on paper and I need to get it right away. And I just make it or paint it. I'm making these other series of collages. Do you want to see that?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Let me see that.
And this one, I wanted to capture the energy of New York City.
Yeah, there it is. That's pretty New York.
Yes. That's again my friend Ernie.
Yeah, there he is. Okay. And
But
so,
I didn't want to stop there. I wanted to see what else I could do with this image.
okay.
So I started putting it through different filters. Oh,
It's a work in progress. Okay.
Yeah.
What you're saying is this vision you have, you're still going through that phase where you're trying to slap it on whatever medium you can. It's almost ethereal type of, when it's in your mind, it's almost ethereal, and you're just trying to recreate that however you can, and you're finding the art style that works with that. Is that how it typically works for you?
Yes. I frustrate my teachers as well because they want me to follow some rules.
Okay.
So I'm disobedient.
I guess they're just trying to think. I guess they just want you to have the groundwork down before you go around. But
Yes. Yes.
the interview itself, where did you get your start?
I was always interested in fashion, and I wanted to be a fashion illustrator. So I applied to FIT. I got right in,
I
and
mean, you had previously said to me before that you had been you found yourself falling in love with art again about 10 years ago. And
yes,
now that you're in this period of your life and you're doing this now, what are some of your what have been some of your inspirations over time, over these last 10 years?
I went back to an atelier, which is a traditional classical training locally, and I learned my skills in drawing and painting. But I was bored. So then I went to the Art Student League in New York City,
Mm-hmm.
which is way more diversified and experimental. And I had more freedom. So, and I could work faster, which is what I like to do. And I started to develop a portfolio, be in the student shows, and just feel like I could add more expression than just drawing the figure, drawing the portrait, you know.
How many years were you working on studying to become an artist before you really felt like you could express yourself through what you were making?
I think it took 10 years.
Oh, exactly. Till at this point today.
Yeah, it took 10 years, yeah.
Wow, 10 years.
I worked hard, you know. I still do. I work every day. If a day goes by and I didn't draw or glue something down, I feel bad.
I can absolutely understand that. And in that 10 years, a lot of time passes. I mean, how has your style changed in that time?
Sometimes I take a break from classes,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's when I'm left to my own devices, just working alone. And that's when I think is real bizarre stuff starts happening.
When you're by yourself, you think, and no one's watching?
Yes.
Yeah, I can understand that. Okay.
So I do want to develop things. I think that like even this one that you made a copy of, I think there should be a series of this. I think this is very marketable.
What do you think how would you like to serialize that? Just the same thing, just reproductions, or would you like to make any changes?
I'd like to use a new model, maybe 5 more different models, on different
Yeah,
contents with different birds. Just, keeping it the same size, just different people, so that I would have my series.
I think that could work. And yeah, you think you'd be comfortable doing that? Would that you think the art galleries would? That's something for the I guess that'd be something for the business side. You're kind of like meeting them in the middle there.
Yes. And I think that they would like it. I think that everyone goes crazy.
And that was the one that we had scanned for you. Yes.
This is the original. And I'm going to show you how beautiful the reproduction is. You can't even tell the difference. Only by the frame can you tell the difference.
Oh yes, look at that. Yep.
And I had 2 of these made. One is for my mother's bathroom. And of course I'm keeping the original forever. And that was in oil. Then I worked on some ink wash. And I did a copy of his famous Russian ballerina, Anna Pavlova.
Yes.
This is from my dance studio. And this is the original. And honestly, the copy is so perfect. I can't even tell.
Glad we were able to get that working for you. Exactly. There we go. Yeah, these are good. I mean, this is exactly it. And I think, before we had done this interview, I had taken a quick look at your website and noticed that some of the stuff you had posted there. I don't know how recent some of that stuff is, but I know a lot of it is based off of still life. You do a lot of still life work and a lot of this stuff on the website is very realistic. It has some sort of realism to it. But the stuff we had scanned for you seems to have a little bit more abstract sort of elements added to it. Would you be able to describe that to me? How has your style changed over time?
My style completely jumps around, but it depends on my mood. I'm doing this kitchen-friendly collection, which is a little abstract and very bold colors. For example, I'm doing a series on fruit.
Oh, yes. We'd also scanned that for you, too. I remember that.
And this one, this one you actually scanned as well, and I can show you the copy. And it's really nice for placemats, I think. I don't know. It's made out of this kind of the fabric you use.
Oh, yes. That's just a typical canvas that we had used for that.
But it's great for wallpaper or placemats. Isn't it cute?
Yes, absolutely.
It's this endless creativity. Do you want to see some things that you didn't scan? I did this. This was a commission for my friend's mother who retired. She worked for law enforcement.
Oh, yes. Can you describe this piece for me then? What's the background to it?
She was retiring and she's with 2 official judges, federal judges, I believe. But because of Women's Month last month, when I finished it, I decided to make the female dominant and to kind of cut the men out, but not all the way. Make them less important.
I see. Yeah, it was a deliberate thing to have them be cut down the middle. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Which I thought was kind of fun because men are always getting all the attention. So, and I started working on collages. Would you like to see that?
Oh, sure. Let me see some of those collages. Yeah.
This is actually my daughter. And I drew her.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Look at that.
put some watercolor in the hair.
Was this done recently?
Yes, like 6 months ago.
About 6 months ago. Okay. Yeah. And so, what was your idea going into this when you wanted to create a portrait of your daughter?
I wanted it to have an old feel like the 1800s, or no, maybe the 1700s, where, the French women, like a cameo, but I wanted her to look arrogant, like funny. Like, so I feel like I captured it.
A little goofy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
like snotty. So
When did you first? How long have you been an artist yourself, and at what point in your career had you started dipping your toes into abstract work?
I started my training at FIT with fashion illustration. And I guess that was right there, funky stuff. And I worked in graphic design. And then I had to take a break to raise a family. So 10 years ago, I decided to study classical art and get more foundation. So that's why you will see the realism mixed with the abstract, because it's a blend.
Really? Yeah. And so that fashion background is interesting. What was that? Before you go into your art, then maybe we can talk about that. What was your experience in it? I suppose it's still artwork, but it's for fashion. What was that like?
Oh, do you want to see what I made?
Oh,
'Cause
sure. And then
I'm using my vintage illustrations for upcoming works on paper show.
if you have it nearby, I'd be happy to see it.
These are my vintage fashion illustrations that I'm remounting.
When were these made?
These were made in 1988.
1988. Okay. And at the time you said you were studying in FIT?
Yeah, but these I actually did in Parsons. I have studied art in and out. Whenever I had free time, I would study.
Well, that's wonderful. Look at that.
Yes.
Can you describe this piece for me? What was the inspiration for it?
This was a contour drawing, and you just had to draw it in ink very quickly in 2 minutes. Capture the dynamic of the model, of the pose.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's always hit or miss with these 2-minute sketches. You don't know what you're going to get. You waste a lot of paper, but sometimes you get things. I like this one.
Oh, I see. Okay. And that's another example of only 2-minute drawing?
Yeah, 2 minutes.
So much detail, you can get it in only 2 minutes.
And this one I really like. This one I might have gone back, and the assignment was to add texture to the drawing.
Ah, okay. I like how that came out.
Funny foo-foo.
Yeah.
So I was just having a lot of fun. Oh, there's one other one that we did, which is also, I mean, this is, I don't know. I don't think it's so abstract. It reminds me of something from the New Yorker.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. I suppose it's a little warping on reality, and I guess anything that changes reality a little bit would be considered abstract. And there you go. Yes, there's both the reproduction and the original scan.
Yes, very good copy. I call it this painting Killer Queen.
Oh wow, it's a big one.
Big, right? He's a personal trainer and runs a spinning company. So he's very fit.
Yes, clearly.
And did you see my botanicals? They won an award. They're very abstract.
Oh yes, they're very polygonal, very very low quality, but almost they just capture the basic shapes of what's going on. Absolutely. Yeah, and you're right. What you had said, your art style seems to be all over the place, but in a good way. You seem to touch on.
Classical.
Yes, absolutely.
And I can really handle a pencil.
Yeah, look at
It's
that.
a magazine.
Yeah, no, very good. It's
So,
it's very telling again, what you said before. All very different. You'd think these all came from different artists, or the same artist from, decades of different styles. But this is interesting. It's very amazing to me to see your ability to be so faceted.
yeah. So, I mean, of course, my dream is to have a show and just someone come in and say, this can't be the same person. It just can't be one person who did all this. That is my dream.
Well, these are what you have done so far, some of the moments you did so far. But in your future, what else do you hope to achieve as you move forward?
I'd like to show in galleries.
That's the next step.
Yeah, I'd like to. And I'd like to be, I mean, who wouldn't? I think if I have 6 of this and 6 of that, I can apply to all different shows at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. It definitely would be exactly what they're asking for if you wanna go there.
And maybe then they'll appreciate the diversity. They'll be like, oh, that's Barkin's work again. It doesn't look anything like her last.
Has there not been any style that you find yourself settling on? Anything you particularly invested a lot of time into?
Well, this doesn't really answer the question, but there is a continuity to my work where everything is pretty bold and colorful.
What do you mean?
I'm very interested in shapes.
In shapes. Okay.
Yeah, so you will see that there's a dynamic to it. So in that, I think there is cohesiveness. But you know what? You touched on a point that I find so interesting and valuable is asking other artists about their own diversity.
Yes.
And if they're interested in that, or they're overwhelmed by such a thing.
I bet you're going to find a lot of artists are also overwhelmed too. Yeah.
And so it's easier to stick to one thing, flowers. I just do flowers, and that's my thing. I'm just speaking of other people.
Yes. So we can do a wrap up. I think one thing we like to do at the end of these is just give you a chance to say whatever you'd like to say, or maybe you want to advertise something, maybe a website, your social media, maybe some upcoming event that you may be attending. Whatever it is, whatever you have, I will give you the floor. Say whatever you'd like.
You can follow me on Instagram, Beatrice Barkin, and I have a website that I'm in the process of updating. Okay. That's also beatricebarkin.com. And I hope to be accepted into some shows very soon. That would be nice. And you're a really good interviewer.
Oh, thank you.
You made me very comfortable and easy to talk to. So you're talented yourself.
Thank you very much, Beatrice. Yeah. Okay.